You know, at one point I was a little boy that couldn't tell you what or why I do what I do. I would run around and talk to girls all day and smoke weed with my friends and ride our scooters and skateboards around just oblivious to what life becomes when it's time to be an adult. You know, and then most of us are thrown into life at 18 confused. Don't even know our direction because we never asked, we never cared. And I think for a lot of men, especially being that our development is something that takes longer than women, if that's truly the case, we never ask that question. And I damn sure never asked that question until life smacked me in the face and forced me to learn. You know, and then it sends you down a path of discovery, at least in my case, where I ask myself a lot of questions because I want understanding of me. I grew up in a household, my dad left me when I was 11 years old. And a lot of people hear that are like, man, sorry. But the reality is, my dad left me when I was 11 years old, and I was forced to live in a house of all women, which showed me a lot more of my emotions than most men would have the approach at. But what it also did is it threw me further back from me being a man and doing things like taking care of my responsibilities on time or holding myself and allowing people to hold me accountable. You know, me not running around and just playing anymore. Life got real. In an odd way, I think the best thing that could have happened to me was my dad left, because it sent me down a path of discovery, right? It made me question, what is a man? What about what I've seen men around me do did I not like, or did not feel right to me, or brought the wrong outcome? I think what helped me really get ahead in my own mind, forget the community mind of people and what they consider of you, and me and myself and the assurance of me, was that I was able to dissect piece by piece things that I liked about somebody and things that I didn't want, and I would discard the things that had nothing to do with me and something that I zoned in on, and I'm like, man, this is something that makes a man. I kept it with me, you know. And I always say a lesson's a two-step process. I kept it with me, which means I understood. Being that it's a two-step process, though, the second is doing it, living it, the discipline of the lesson, understanding and being disciplined behind the lesson, right? And discipline, even with all of the things that I've jumbled up in my mind from doing this exact thing, like I've said throughout my life, I was never disciplined until the last 3 years of my life, 2 years, which is where it really all started to come together for me, being sure of me. And all of my trials and tribulations bringing me to a point of epiphany, where all of this understanding of these lessons throughout the years, it was almost like my database was so well equipped that when that discipline came, where I could hold myself accountable and be like, Marcel, you're fucking up. Because, you know, I would say a lot of that came from David Goggins. Shout out David Goggins. A lot of us, we're not real enough with ourselves. We're too scared to be like, you're fucking up. There was never a time where I didn't look at myself in the mirror and I did some, at least when, whatever it is, and eventually be like, you know what? You fucked up. Or you did this. Humility is such a powerful characteristic to carry with you to find assurance in yourself. Because once I was able to be vulnerable, have humility, hold myself accountable, be disciplined between, I started to change. Truly, like the actual transformation of me started to come together, not because of some magical, mythical fucking whatever it was. It all came together because I was finally ready to accept what I'm not, instead of always pushing for what I was, right? And what that was able to do is I was able to dissect from myself now. What are things that make me less of a man? Not in the sense of what people think a man is. I mean, a man takes care of his family. A man is loyal. A man has humility. A man he has heart. A man is not macho. A man is not buff and all this bullshit, bro. No, a man is one that takes care of his people before himself. And through all of that and all of the things I learned, I finally came to this turning point where it was like, it's time. And then after you start getting all this data to collect for yourself, you start ciphering through it. And like I said, you start realizing that, oh, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. Like, the reality for me is I was the reason I fucked up the whole time. Like, all I needed to understand was why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I don't care to be a millionaire. And I don't care to drive a Lambo. I was always the kid riding my skateboard and my scooter around, fucking barely brushing my hair out and just hanging out with my friends. You know, because I'm not what everybody looks at me like. Like, I care about what I look like. Or, oh, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I treat all my people the same. But as soon as I started getting sure of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, it all changed. And now I don't get up and make decisions based off what the community is thinking. I make decisions off what feels right to me. And like I said, asking myself the why, the when, the how, the what, all these questions that all bring answers. And like I said, a man that's sure of himself is a man that people can rely on. A man that's sure of himself is a man that has responsibilities that he's going to make sure that he attends to. A man that's sure of himself isn't a man walking around and asking people for approval. He's asking people, he's not even asking, he's walking around and showcasing people who he is. A man that's sure of himself doesn't say anything anymore. He does. You're not looking for people to agree with you. Most people don't see eye to eye with a man that is on his own mission. And like I said, like, it comes full circle into everything. A man that's sure of himself has a good life because he's living for his passions and who he wants to be. And he is not reaching out for people to be a part of his life. He's looking and seeing who wants to be a part of his life. You know? And for me, I stopped caring because it all boils down to me wanting to take care of my babies. I want to dive into my passions. I want to wake up and I want to start doing a sport again. this year I'm about to start doing competitive drifting, and look out, in the next couple years I'm gonna start doing electric motocross. Promise. Sounds crazy. People are like, wow. But when you know who you are, you know what you want to do. And you know my new path of life, and my new location where I'm gonna move. Not gonna say it yet, but I'm very excited for people to see. Like, it's not a place where people want to move. It's not a place where most people think of. Because when people think of doing something, they think of what other people are doing. They don't think of, man, I'm not doing this for anybody else but me. And like, if people love me, they'll come be a part of what I do, as I'll be a part of what they do. You know, a man, I'm not a guru. So this is a conversation about a boy becoming a man and being able to take care of his people and be happy with his life and not walk around like he is a victim to his reality. Because I faced death twice, and the reality is you can't fear death. We're here for a very short time. We got to enjoy it. But a man that's sure of himself is a man that lives for himself. And like I said, I know there's a lot of people out there like me. Like, I don't got family like that. I have family, but it doesn't mean they're family. It doesn't mean that they love me. It doesn't mean that they'll put it all on the line for me. So a lot of us men, we're alone because our family comes from us. Right? And, I look at my son all the time and I say it, like, that is my best friend. This child is the only person that listens without that ego. But honing in on what you're doing and why you're doing it is important. And like I said, I think it comes full circle to men having better relationships with women, because you're a man that a woman is proud to be with. Just like a man shouldn't accept a woman into his reality unless that's a woman that wants to be your woman. A man, if you're going around, you're taking care of bills, making sure that everybody has an opportunity to expand in their own personal creativity without the stress of the world on your shoulders. Balance is important, and a lot of the time it's one way or the other. It's never completely balanced. And I won't say never, because a lot of people have great relationships. But I think that if there was more men sure of themselves, we'd have a lot of less YNs running around the streets. If we had more men sure of themselves, we'd have a lot more leaders. We'd have a lot less dudes running around acting like girls. We'd have a lot less issues. We'd have a lot more men standing up and protecting women. And again, some people might listen to this and get nothing from it. Other people may listen to this and really hear what I'm saying. I'm Marcel Thomas. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna live to live, not live to work. I'm going to set up the foundation to make sure that I can take care of my family, which is shelter, food, water, transportation. Make sure I buy a home, make sure that my kids have a job, make sure that there's enough cars for people to get around and do their type of stuff, so that when my children and my wife want to dive into their self, they have that opportunity to do that without saying that they need to go to work, or man, I need to get a car, or I need a job. I'm selfless in the way that I want to take care of my people, and I don't care if the only thing I did was set that foundation. A lot of us, we only think for ourselves, and I'm so sure of myself that I understand the impact that I'm about to leave. And I know that if I wasn't to push towards this like I want to, nobody else would. Because everybody else just sits around and listens. Nobody gets up to create and do or push standards. And like I said, that's me. Who are you?